Today, we're going to be talking about Kouri Richins. Kouri is accused of killing her husband with fentanyl in a Moscow Mule drink. And she then wrote a book about dealing with grief. She had a hearing Monday and Tuesday this week. And during that hearing, we saw 4 different witnesses. Basically, Kouri's legal team had to withdraw because of conflict of interest. So she has a new defense team. And the prosecutors agreed that they should have the opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses to determine whether or not Kouri would be bound over for trial. So we learned a lot in the last 2 days. I watched it all, and I'm going to condense all the main points that I found during the hearing. So let's get started.
State of Utah versus Kouri Richins. Just for clarity, can I have counsel for the state make their appearance, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Brad Bloodworth, Lindsay Shervinack, Joseph Hill, and Fred Burmester for the state.
And for the defense, please.
Wendy Lewis, Catherine Lester, and Alexander Ramos for Ms. Kouri Richins.
Okay. I appreciate everybody here in the gallery has exercised great patience this morning.
For 2 days, Kouri Richins had a hearing, and this was to determine whether or not she would stand trial for the murder of her husband. But during these hearings, it lasted 2 days because she has new attorneys. Her original attorney, Sky, was taken off the case because of conflict of interest. So she has new attorneys, and they haven't been on the case very long, although they've been doing their homework. They did a great job during the hearing. They got a chance to cross-examine some of the witnesses.
The state is essentially offering Detective O'Driscoll for cross-examination by current defense counsel within that scope as, in the best interest of a fundamentally fair proceeding, since they've not yet had an opportunity to cross-examine.
The prosecutors provided 4 of their key witnesses to be cross-examined by the defense. It's interesting because I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg of what is to come when the trial goes forward. But during the defense's cross-examination, we got to peek inside what type of defense they're going to put up, especially when the defense was cross-examining one of the key investigators. I thought they did a good job, and I was really interested in how Kouri Richins' behavior was during the entire proceeding. She was pretty stoic, and she didn't have a lot of facial expressions or animation or anything, with one exception. And I'm going to show you that today. It was interesting. Now, I know the courtroom audio is not great, but I want to let you hear what the question was before Kouri became quite animated. And then we'll see how she seemed to be coming up with ideas to help with her defense.
Or how was she a target related to the Richins case?
Text messages were located in the defendant's phone from a phone number that was found to belong to Carmen Lauber.
The detective is talking about text messages between Kouri Richins and her housekeeper / alleged drug dealer.
At that time, detectives started looking into Carmen Lauber and her activity. They found that she was on a drug court program in another county.
This drug deal is key to the prosecutor's case, and Kouri knows it.
Started investigating her as related to Ms. Richins having worked with her.
She inadvertently does a nod right there. Yes, she did work with her.
Her business, her realty business, as well as her personal home.
So just to clarify, Ms. Lauber did cleaning for Ms. Richins' business and in the Richins' household. Did I have that straight?
Correct.
All right. And did you execute a search warrant, or was a search warrant executed on Ms. Lauber's home?
Yes.
Were you present for that?
Yes.
And were there illegal items seized during that time?
Yes.
The prosecutors then put up another witness, a private investigator who had law enforcement background, and during his testimony, he also talked about text messages, which again caused a reaction from Kouri Richins. Let's watch.
The defendant and Ms. Lauber on that day?
On February 14th? Yes, sir.
You recall approximately how many?
I don't, not off the top of my head. It's several.
More than a dozen?
Yes, I want to say 30 again. Seems right.
I want to turn your attention now to State's Exhibit 43. Well, and before we go on to there, I just want to clarify, when you see this call detail record, you're not seeing the content in any of those messages, correct?
Correct. Only that the message was completed, sent and received.
Okay. But when you do a forensic extraction of a device, if those the content of those texts are still on the phone, can you see the content at that time?
Yes.
On February 26th of 2022, do you see communications between Ms. Lauber and the defendant on that day?
Yes.
Do you recall when they started communicating?
Kouri's body language seems to be almost like she's come up with an idea that might be able to answer what this investigator is saying. I don't know. What do you think?
In the evening, I want to, if I recall, around 5 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m. on the 26th.
And you recall when they stopped?
About 10:30 that night.
From those call detail records, specifically from Ms. Lauber's, were you able to see where she traveled that day?
Yes,
And was she at or near a Maverick and Draper that day?
she was.
And how are you able to tell that from the call detail record?
So within that call detail record, AT&T is Ms. Lauber's provider. AT&T does provide location data for SMS messaging.
At this point, Kouri must have come up with an idea. She writes a note and gives it to her attorney and seemed to have an optimistic look on her face.
We're able to determine what tower is being utilized when the Ms. Lauber's device made or received text messages as well as calls.
Kouri's attorney then cross-examines, and I wonder if the things that he's bringing up in the cross-examination are tied in with the note that Kouri sent him.
When you state that information was deleted, it doesn't tell you in what you've been given how that happened,
Correct.
why that happened,
Correct.
where it happened.
Also correct.
The raw data could potentially hold that.
Potentially.
Were they hoping that the deleted messages could somehow exonerate her or show that it could have been someone else deleting her messages? I don't know. Overall, I was impressed with Kouri's new defense team. Now remember, her old defense team were forced to withdraw because of conflict of interest. Hey, can you see me? I'm up there in the right corner. Yeah, I was in that courthouse that day. But anyway, her old defense team had to withdraw. They were a good team too. Like, she's got some good defense for her. But I think there's a lot of evidence there. Let's hear what her judge has to say.
The prosecution has shown probable cause.
There he said it. The prosecutors have shown probable cause. So Kouri will go to trial for homicide, attempted homicide, forgery, and fraud. Her attorneys fought a good fight, and I wonder if she thought she was going to walk away. Well, the answer is no. Let's see just a tidbit of what her attorney said.
And this preliminary hearing is a critical right that every single individual who they decide to write a charge against has.
Kouri is accused of giving her husband a lethal dose of fentanyl. During the hearing, she only spoke aloud once, and that was to let the judge know that she does not plan on being a witness in her own defense.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So basically, she's waiving her right to testify, and all defendants have that right. She has now officially entered a not guilty plea.
The drug is the same, the drug dealer is the same, the timing is the same, but she learned. She learned she needed something stronger. She also learned how to administer it. She learned that putting it in a sandwich where Eric Richins could take a bite, feel the effects, set the sandwich down, was not the proper way to administer a fatal dose of fentanyl. And she learns that it takes a truckload of fentanyl to kill him.
Our position is still that there needs to be something more when you look at everything that's been presented as evidence in this case up to this point.
The judge does clarify, however. Let's listen.
We are not determining in any degree guilt at all. Nothing the court says today affects her presumption of innocence.
The next time we'll see her in court will be September 22nd. Let me know in the comments below. So Kouri Richins is officially charged with murder. And now we'll see what happens next. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this out where you can. And I will see you again soon. See ya.